Alabama in the college football playoff against Oklahoma. And we're going to talk to our friend Chris Lowe from On3, brought to you by Visit Sevierville. And I can tell you that the Smoky Mountains are beautiful this time of year. You're talking about Sevierville Winterfest, which is in the Smoky Mountains, right? And it started on November 7th, and it rolls through February 16th. So even if you miss the Christmas time, you still have it extended all the way until February 16th. Dollywood, fantastic, all decorated like Christmas, everything going on in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. And you go through the Parkway in Sevierville to get to all of it. There's a lot of great things going on in Sevierville, including Shadrack's Christmas Wonderland, which is an LED drive-through light show, and more. It's beautiful out there, and we appreciate those guys for being a part of the show every week. And I'll tell you this, it's that time of year where you're thinking about your next vacation. Think about the Smokies and visit Sevierville.
When you head to the Smoky Mountains, it's only natural to visit Sevierville. Say it with me now. It ain't that hard. Sevierville. Give me some fit. Your Smokies start here.
All right, there he is, Chris Lowe, Mick Gillespie. Great to have you guys with us. Chris, let me just start it off with this. Michigan's situation at head coach. Alabama's Kalen DeBoer says he's not going anywhere. But there's still some people that feel like there's a possibility that he could potentially take another coaching job. You're always in the middle of these things. You know what's going on. Your ears to the ground. What do you think about this?
Well, Kalen was pushed pretty hard at Monday, Mick, in his press conference. And a couple of the reporters asked him point blank, will you be the coach at Alabama next year? Now, the first time he was asked that, he sort of referred to his statement from Sunday night that he was not talking to anybody else, had no interest in talking to anybody else. I look forward to leading the Crimson Tide going forward, and praised his kids on the team, for weathering through some of the distractions. Well, the third question in the press conference, someone asked him again very directly, will you be the head football coach at Alabama next year? And he smiled and said, hey, sort of repeated what he said the first time, and then he said yes to the first questioner and yes to the second questioner. So pretty direct, and it would be hard to walk that back. But I think here's the caveat: is Alabama and Kalen's representation continue to negotiate to try to work out an agreement. Nothing's been agreed upon, nothing's been signed. So I've done this long enough, and I think you have too. Until something's signed, until there's some type of agreement or a new extension that's signed, you never say never in college football. I do believe at this point, though, barring some change, that he will be back next year's head football coach. And here's the other thing. If Bama wins on Saturday over Oklahoma, even if he wanted to go, and I'm not saying he does, I think it's going to be hard for Michigan to wait that long on up into January. So, to me, all signs point to Kalen being back as head football coach at Oklahoma. And I think the most pressing thing right now is that Bama play well on Saturday against an Oklahoma team that's gotten a little bit healthier since they played the last time, particularly on defense.
You earn extensions because either you're running on the field or other teams want you, and his name popped up with Penn State, and it popped up with Michigan. It popped up with Michigan the first time. But hopefully for Alabama, he sticks around because it's hard to find these head football coaches. They don't just grow on trees. Now let's talk about the game, Bama against Oklahoma. Here we are with the showdown. Oklahoma's beaten Alabama the last two seasons, and Alabama looked really banged up against Georgia. Oklahoma had some time off to prepare again, so they had another 2 weeks to get ready for Alabama. But the Crimson Tide, I don't know that you'd call it a bye week, but they just because the game wasn't on Saturday, but they've had time to get better as well.
I don't think time off's going to be the difference in this football game. Bama without LT Overton, that's a big loss right there along their defensive line. He is a good football player, disruptive. So you take one difference maker away on that defensive line, that's never good in a game like this. Jam Miller looks like he's going to be able to play. Ty Simpson was asked point blank about how healthy he was early this week. He dodged the question, says he feels great. I don't think Ty's 100%. Now, I say that a lot of players, certainly at the quarterback position, are 100%, but I do think he's played through a lot of pain. Mick continues to play through some pain, some back issues. So that's something to watch in this football game. How well they protect him. Does it impact his ability to throw the football down the field? And, he's made a lot of off-script plays this year. Does that prevent him from, being able to get out on the move, on the run, and make some plays? We're going to find out. But I think, again, it's two other things stick out. Number one, it's hard to beat a team. I know this is a cliche. It's hard to beat a team twice in one season. We've already seen that with Bama and Georgia. Georgia, lost the first time there in Athens and came back and spanked Bama pretty good in the SEC championship game. As you point out, Oklahoma's won the last two times against Alabama, one of them earlier this year in Tuscaloosa. So here's Bama's chance to get them back in Norman. It's just, especially in the SEC, you go back to all these games over the years. I always go back to LSU and Bama in 11 when they played twice, Georgia and Auburn when they played twice in 2017. It just doesn't, out in Georgia and Alabama in 21 when Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, but Georgia came back and beat Bama in the national title game. The odds are that you're not going to beat a good football team twice in the same season.
That's what Bama fans are hoping anyway, right? Like you'd love the idea of being able to take these guys and beat them. John Mateer is a good quarterback. He hasn't been as good since his hand injury, but the Oklahoma team is a team that figures out a way to win. Plus, their defensive schemes have baffled Alabama. I moved the ball, turned it over. The time before that, the last time Bama was in Norman, they scored 3 points.
Well, and again, turn the football over. Listen, offensive coaches will tell you that going up against Brent Venables and his defenses, going all the way back to when he was at Clemson, he's always going to have, I won't say tricks, but he's always going to have some different looks. He's going to come at you from different angles. They're going to do some things. They're going to get away from their tendencies. He's a hard defensive coordinator. He's a hard guy as he gets his defenses ready to play each week to go against. And that coming from a lot of people on the offensive side of the football that I know, this is a tough matchup. Anytime you go up against him, even when they weren't, you go back to last year, Mick, they weren't very good at all on offense, but they stayed in games because of their defense. And they've been able to add a little bit more firepower. I agree, Mateer has not been as effective since he hurt his wrist and had the surgery. But defensively, they create a lot of havoc and force turnovers and we're able to sort of get turnovers and negative plays, not even turnovers, but sacks and tackles for loss that kill drives, or in some cases changes the complexion of the game. So that's what Bama's going to have to stay out of those type of situations and not let Oklahoma dictate this game defensively and put Alabama in bad situations, or even give the Oklahoma offense short fields to work with. Certainly Bama wants to be aggressive. They want to do what they do, but you do not want to put yourself in bad situations, especially on the road.
What a marquee matchup, too. I mean, both enormous brands and fan bases, pretty cool uniforms. They look a lot alike. This, to me, was a matchup when the SEC expanded with Texas and Oklahoma that you wanted to see Alabama play either one of those teams. And this is one of the biggest times that they've played. Now, they've played in the playoffs before postseason, and Bama actually has a winning record in those games. But this one's going to be in Norman. It's loud there. I just think for Alabama to win this game, Ty Simpson is going to have to create some plays with his feet, that's what I saw when Ole Miss beat those guys down there. Like that, you got everybody covered, and then all of a sudden here comes the quarterback. And I wonder if he'll be able to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't think you can win a game like this if you stay in the pocket for 35, 40 times and throw the football. I think that I agree with you, Mick. I think his receivers, and even if they throw to people out of the backfield, they got to make some plays and some yards after the catch. You got to make some things happen And we talk a lot of times about playmakers, guys that are game changers in the open field, defensively and offensively. That's where you got, Bernard and Ryan Williams. They got to have those guys make catches and make some yards and make some things happen after the catch. I mean, we haven't seen as much of that from Bama. We've seen it in stretches, but against this kind of defense that makes you earn everything. And I can't emphasize enough that the thing that Venables defenses have done the best over the years is they put you in tough situations. They put you in 2nd and 16, 3rd and 12, because they make all these negative plays. And throwing it quick, getting rid of the football quick, using the short pass game to sort of supplement what you do in the run game, and letting your guys that are athletes, that are playmakers, make things happen after the catch. So, yeah, I think Ty, to slow that rush down and to keep them honest, has to make some plays with his feet, but I also think they got to get rid of the football fast and let their receiving core make some things happen after the catch.
So now you got Bama and Oklahoma, and we're talking about that here on the Bama Tailgate Show. Guys, I want to, again, thank you for hanging out with us, and also tell everybody about Avenue D. That's Mick Nation. Got these brand new hats in. Opportunity always to win swag there. It's free. It's our destination on the web. We'll have a store eventually, but right now it's picking this Alabama-Oklahoma game. We're going to have a winner each quarter there. So you can win cash prizes. You can also win swag. Check it out. Use that QR code Mick Nation as we watch college football together on a game day. Chris, let's talk about some of the other matchups in this college football playoff. Lane Kiffin, obviously huge story, leaves for LSU. His team's playing against Tulane. His old team is. He took the entire the offensive coaching staff, but then a lot of those guys are getting to come back and coach. It just seems like some mayhem going on with Ole Miss. It's one of the weirdest things I can ever remember in sports.
Yeah, not ideal for the players in particular. I think if you're getting ready to play this game and you're a player, you're glad that your position coaches have come back to coach you. I don't think, truth be told, that there was a huge consensus on that team that they wanted Lane to come back and coach them, and he's not back. But those guys are in the back of their mind are thinking about who their next coach. They're building their staffs, having people look at the portal, getting ready to try to build their roster at their next place. That's just not ideal to get ready to play your most important game of the season. Coaches with maybe one eye on their future job and one eye on their current job. And to me, the craziest thing, Mick, about this whole thing is they've essentially swapped staffs going forward. Frank Wilson will be hired at Ole Miss as running backs coach. And you look at you mentioned all the offensive coaches, guys like Charlie Weiss Jr., who came back to coach at Ole Miss, but after the game is saying he's going back to LSU to coach with Lane Kiffin. So it is crazy. It's a bit chaotic. And I guess I would say for the players, I can't speak for them, that down deep, they're like, you know what? This is not what I signed up for. This is not ideal to have a coach that is coming back to coach me, but he's already gone somewhere else. And when after this game's over, he's going back there. It sort of rings, it seems to me, a little bit hollow.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It's weird how some of the coaches have kind of defended Lane Kiffin because, they're like, well, it's the way that the process plays out now. To me, it seems kind of cut and dry, like either it's your team, you either coach it or don't, and we've just never seen anybody walk away from a job in any sport when their team's in the playoffs.
Right.
and legitimately has a chance to make a run. When you look at kind of the way things lay out in this college football playoff. I mean, if Georgia's one of the best teams in the country and they went there and fought valiantly and lost at the end, but could have beat them, I think they could beat Ohio State. I think they could beat Georgia. The other matchup that's interesting is Texas A&M hosting Miami. So remember old Carson Beck, he's back, and he's got Miami in the playoff, and they'll go on the road. Mike Elko, everyone was talking about what a great coach he was going to be, and he's turned out to be a great coach.
Yeah, like a nice little payday a few weeks ago when A&M took him to $11 million plus. A&M is a perfect example, Mick, of a team that's had a really good season, a breakthrough season in a lot of ways, and unbeaten going into Texas and lose at Texas. And if they turn around and lose the first game of the playoff, I guarantee you very few people in College Station are going to remember they started out 11-0, beat a lot of teams. He got a big contract extension, and then bam, you get beat by your biggest rival the last game of the regular season. Then you go to the playoff and get beat the first game. That becomes a narrative. That becomes what people remember about this season. So it's a real reminder that, hey, in the playoff, that's what, and I remember Nick Saban said this a few years ago, that has become the end all in college football. How do you do in the playoff? Do you win the playoff? Do you make a deep run? And for Elko, if he does win a game or two, then I think everybody will say, hey, this guy's had a great year. They're well on their way. If they lose, I can promise you off season, you know what you're going to hear? You're going to hear, well, they had a great first start to the season, 3/4 of the way in, and then they lost their last two games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The other two games aren't as intriguing to me, and I guess it's just because I look at them and I'm like, there's no way that, well, I guess the other game, that I just don't see any way James Madison's even going to be able to make a game out of playing at Oregon. The Oregon's going to be bigger, faster, stronger at every position, and there's stability there. Of course, James Madison coach going to another job. And there's a lot of people that kind of feel like I do, where it's almost like charity that they're even in there. I mean, Notre Dame would have killed them. Vanderbilt would have killed them. And those are the two teams that are kind of right there on the bubble that didn't get in. So I feel like, me personally, and I kind of get your opinion, that this is a big game for a lot of those schools that are kind of wanting respect for James Madison to kind of go in there and at least hang in and not get destroyed, where everybody's kind of like perception is they just don't belong. They need to go do their own playoff.
Yeah, almost like they're carrying that Group of 5 banner away.
Yeah.
And you got two this year. You got Tulane and you got James Madison playing in the playoff from the Group of 5 ranks. Before they went to 12, this is only the second year of 12, Mick. You had the 14. Well, a lot of those semifinals were blowouts. A lot of them were. If you go back and look from now to all the way back to basically when the playoff, the 12-team playoff started in 14, a lot of those first games, those semifinal games were one-sided. So I don't think it's, to me, it's not fair to say, well, if a Group of 5 team gets in and it get beats 3 or 4 touchdowns, that wouldn't happen with a Power 4 team, because it has. I remember sitting through that Michigan State-Alabama game, and what year was that, 11 or 9, the semifinal game? And that game was over 5 minutes into the game. So it does happen even with Power 4 teams, but I still believe that there's got to be a way to let them play in or have a play-in type, game. Mm-hmm. So you're not sitting there with 2 or 3 Group of 5 teams over a team like Notre Dame or Vandy or Texas, who could probably clearly beat those teams.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like if they were doing like James Madison and Tulane, I think that people would probably respect that a lot more than them getting smushed by Ole Miss and and James and Oregon. And then the other part of this too is that I think the only thing that's really helping Ole Miss to put itself in position to make a run here is just the fact that they're playing Tulane. They already played Tulane once, and they beat them up pretty good the first time. Tulane's coach going to another job. I feel like if Ole Miss was in the situation that Alabama was in, or had to go play Texas A&M, I don't think they'd have a chance. I think it kind of fell in their lap that they have this matchup, and maybe. And I got to admit, I'm not the biggest. I don't want to say fan. I mean, it has nothing to do with fandom. I just maybe believer in Pete Golding, but I've enjoyed his press conferences, and he looks pretty focused. It's going to be, to me, that coaching matchup, what he's able to do with the chaos that's been created by Lane Kiffin taking another job, is going to be so interesting to me.
Well, yeah, it is, and it goes back to what we talked about a minute ago. It's almost like these teams are swapping coaches. and swapping staffs. Pete knows Lane pretty well, and Lane knows Pete. I mean, they've worked together now for several years. They know tendencies. They know what Pete likes to do on certain downs. Pete knows what Lane likes to do in certain situations, and that's why in a game like this, where both staffs and both coaches know each other so well, you probably got to change up a good bit. And I don't mean you go in and make wholesale changes, but you got to change up maybe the way you're calling it, some of the things you're trying to do on defense. And I think you'll see both sides try to do that, to some degree. I still think you got to do what you do, and what got you there. And, Ole Miss is a team that offensively has been pretty diverse and the ability to throw it and run it. And if that continues, I think to me, Ole Miss is a team that is probably the biggest wild card. I don't know, Mick, in the playoff, because you just don't know with all the changes, coaching and how the players react to the coaches. And I understand they're a big favorite in this game, but it's just hard to predict, for me anyway, how the chaos over the last 3 weeks will impact those kids.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. Well, Chris, always great to talk to you. We'll hopefully do it again next week with Bama advancing to play Indiana. I mean, it would be just amazing to have this team go on a run here. And I hope we don't find out what would happen if Alabama loses when it comes to their coach, and I feel like Alabama's got a really good coach with Kalen DeBoer, because he's somebody that embraced the challenge of replacing Nick Saban. And I think that when you look at his record, I mean, it's virtually the same as Nick Saban's first 2 years at Alabama, which is something Shank points out a lot to. And he's recruited really well. And I think Bama fans, if they think that there's somebody better out there, they probably need to think again, because these coaching jobs are tough. Find good coaches.
And it's a different, we're 20 years later almost than when Nick took over Alabama. The game's changed. The rules have changed. It doesn't diminish anything Nick did, but, there is such a thing now as the portal and the NIL. You've got this crazy calendar in December where, kids are leaving, coaches are leaving, taking other jobs, and you're getting ready to play in a 12-team playoff. And I think that's, to me, it's almost, Mick, like comparing apples and oranges in a lot of ways. It's just not the same. And I don't know about you, I didn't believe this transition would be perfect. I didn't think he'd come in and they'd be 12-1 or 13-0 and they'd be in the national championship game. I felt like he would take a year or two to get things down and to get everybody fully invested and to completely put your infrastructure in. And tweak your staff the way you wanted to. And I'd say that process probably is still going on. I do believe one of the best indications when you have a transition is, how are you recruiting? And Bama has continued to recruit very well under Kalen DeBoer and his staff. I think that, to me, if you see that starts to decline, then there's an issue. I have not seen that decline. So there you have it. I agree. I think it's, Alabama – Nick spoiled Alabama. That's just the way it is. He spoiled them. When you win that many titles over that many years, you go, as I've said, you go 100 straight games and never lose to a ranked team. Any fan base, not just Alabama, any fan base would be spoiled. So I've had enough conversations with Kalen. He knew what he was getting into. And as I've told you now a couple of weeks in a row, I don't think he's going to run away from a challenge that he ran to after 2 years.
All right, Chris, where can people catch your stuff? I know On3, and what are you working on right now?
Yeah, on3.com. I'll be in Oxford this weekend for Tulane and Ole Miss. I'm actually spent a day in Athens this week to do some stories on Kirby Smart in Georgia, and we'll be looking forward to this second round. I guess it's actually the quarterfinals of the playoff here in 2 weeks. So,
all right,
looking forward to it.
All right, always great to have Chris Lowe on from On3. And got a lot to get into this week, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe, get in the comments section, and be a part of our Avenue D. I told you about it before. This is the biggest contest that we've run this year, right? It's all free for you. Just hit the QR code and right there and go to Avenue D. Pick Alabama against Oklahoma, and you can win each quarter, and then obviously at the end. So there's over $1,000 worth of prizes given away, plus swag. We got the swag. Get in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think the scores are going to be, and don't forget too that we're proudly brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Philadelphia, Mississippi. It's a great time of year to swing over and check out an awesome concert. That is Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, Lita Ford, and also Firehouse. They're going to be there December 27th, 8 o'clock, Choctaw, Mississippi, at the center stage. So check that out. Appreciate you, Chris. And again, guys, hope you're having a great holiday season, and we'll talk to you tomorrow from the Pie Factory in Jasper, 5 to 7. And if you're in the neighborhood, make sure you come by and meet Jay Coker and me as we do the tailgate show.
I may not suit up on Saturdays anymore, but I'm still in the game.
Let's roll.
In here, I call the plays, make adjustments, and lay it on the line. Want to feel that fire, that rush? Then you've got to get in the game. I used to say it in the tunnel, and I still say it now. Let's roll.
In some places, football is a sport, and Alabama is a fine art. New Life Art is now accepting pre-orders for Daniel A. Moore's next Crimson Classic, the Crispy Screen, guys. What a name to commemorate the Fat Boys. This masterwork commemorates the screen pass to Caden Proctor that outsmarted Kirby and the Georgia defense. Proctor's catching bulldog dozing run set up Ty Simpson's 3-yard touchdown just before the half, which was a big score for us, guys. Visit DanielMooreArt.com to see the artist's preliminary sketch and take advantage of a special pre-publication pricing for the Crispy Screen. Go ahead, get into that. Go get you one of those Caden Proctor prints. I'm super excited to get mine in because he's living a dream of all the Fat Boys. And go look up that Crispy Screen and get you one, guys.
We're presented by Bod Coach, and you can tell I'm slimming up over here, and it's because of Bod Coach. This is absolutely amazing. It's your personal trainer that is with you 24/7. So when I go to hotels or when I'm on the road, I type in, "Hey, look, I got equipment. This is what I have," and it'll make a workout specifically for me, what I want, what exercises I want. When I'm at home or I'm in a hotel and there's no way I can get to the gym, it'll say, "Hey, this is what I want to work on today," and it sends you personalized workout plans. It's really awesome. And they contacted me a few weeks ago to be a spokesman. I said, "Well, I want to try this." Bod Coach is fantastic. Like, I use it all the time. I mean, and if I'm telling you, man, like, it makes working out when you are on the go like me so much better. Just because I don't always know I didn't play football at Alabama. I didn't have Scott Cochran yelling, yeah, and telling me what workouts to do. So anyway, I'm going to put in the body on the YouTube all about Bod Coach. Get you guys signed up there, but tell them you heard it on Bama Tailgate.